I guess good evening, good morning. How you doing? Welcome again to the late shift with your man Mel. Yours truly. As always, I throw out the disclaimer. Depending on what I'm talking about, depending on where I'm at in this time, in my life, in the live stream, in society, in the community. Shout out to those people that's watching. Hey, Art, appreciate you for coming through. As always, like I was saying, this live stream may or may not be for you. But consider this race baiting. There's a lot of people who may not know about it or may have seen it, may have been around it, may have been the victim of it. Be it you white, be it you black, be it you brown, be it you yellow, green, red, whatever you are. Race baiting happens, regardless of the country you're from, regardless of society you're in, people being different and whatnot. What is race baiting? Why is it important to talk about? I think anything that's a dividing, thing that happens in our society, is something worth talking about. Hopefully, you can hear me good. I'm going to talk about race baiting. There's this article, The Ethics of Race Baiting, from thecrimson.com. And it's talking about race baiting. And it says race baiting is the deliberate effort to stir up animosity among different racial groups. In the past, this was often done by claiming that some black person, usually a black male, was guilty of some crime, usually against a white woman. Contemporarily, this is often done by calling attention to the special privileges blacks purportedly enjoy, always at the expense of whites, most often um, at the exclusive expense of white males. Always, race baiting is disingenuous. It is based on partial, misapplied, misinterpreted, or simply false information. Because it is deliberate and disingenuous, because it is deliberate and disingenuous, race baiting is never justified nor justifiable. What's going on? Thank you for coming through. Creative Redundancy. Thank you, Art, for being here. Thank you, Lonely Prepper. All you folks, appreciate you for being here right now. I'm just making an attempt to talk about race baiting, and basically, I was talking about race baiting, here for those people that don't realize what it is. Like I said, I don't want to keep reading through and going back and forth with it. But race baiting is basically highlighting the advantages that maybe one group of people may have over another group of people. Or you may have heard the thing about white privilege, and I guess how folks may be mistreated. Some of it, as far as the privilege part and the racism, I'm not saying that doesn't exist. I mean, it does exist. Inequalities and things like that happen. Some people would suggest that our 45th president of the United States did a lot of race baiting, in order to get into office. Whether you want to believe that or not, that's out there. People have different opinions and viewpoints as it pertains to that. Why is it important to talk about? It's important to talk about race baiting because, it happens. Sometimes people, have the whole thing of, there's a race war, and, this is something that people want to, keep going through the particular things. Um, I don't know. I don't know. It's a situation where we find reasons to be divided against each other. We find reasons to go at each other for whatever reason. And a lot of it stems around race. Unfortunately, in 2018, race is still a big issue. Sometimes it goes into immigration, and it goes into xenophobia. Or people have problems with Muslims and things like that. Even homophobia. It depends on however you want to mix it. It touches everything. Touches everything. So we find reasons to attack each other because of our differences and stuff like that, instead of understanding that our differences are what make us special and what make us unique. And I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that certain people don't have certain privileges, or certain schools are not built up, certain neighborhoods and things are gentrified and other folks come in and whatnot. But there's more to it. I mean, some people would suggest and say that on the other side there's race baiting from black folks as well. Where I read a story. They was talking about a black man. A young black man said he wanted to kill all white people and go after them and do damage and whatnot. And I don't condone that, regardless of what may happen through the history of, the America, through humanity and stuff like that, because, America doesn't have the most pristine and clean history. You know, if you want to go back to the Native American Indians, or you want to go back to slavery and, you know, all that stuff, and civil rights movements, and, you know, women's rights movements, all kind of things that people have, you know, that are, you know, a tattered history of, or tainted history of the country. You know, there's some great things about the country. It is a melting pot. You know, there's a lot to, you know, a lot to be thankful for, a lot to be desired, you know, but it still comes down to the point that, you know, because of race and because of how people feel and the animosities that folks have against each other, these are things that get pushed out there. These are things that people fight over. These are, you know, marches and rallies and stuff like that that happen. I remember, you know, I guess you could go into Virginia and stuff like that. Baden is magnanimous. Yeah, it is magnanimous. It is out there. Baden can come from all sides, any sides. Unfortunately, it's only seen as, a white people thing. It's like white people race baiting, black people and stuff like that. And sometimes it's not seen vice versa, but it does happen. I mean, it can happen in popular culture. Go read it again. You want me to read it again? Okay. Let me read it again. Okay, race baiting is the deliberate effort to store racial animosity among different racial groups. In the past, this was often done by claiming that some black person, usually a black male, was guilty of some crime, usually against a white woman. Contemporarily, this is often done by calling attention to the special privileges blacks purportedly enjoy as at the expense of whites, most often the exclusive expense of white males. Always race baiting is disingenuous. It is based on partial, misapplied, misinterpreted, and simply false information. Because it is deliberate and disingenuous, race baiting is never justified nor justifiable. Come back with that again. Let me see. No, my comment. Okay, let me see your comment. I thought you were saying that. Let me see your comment. Which comment? Which comment were you reading? Were you saying? Listening and feeding face, but I'm still here. Sia baiting is magnanimous. I got that. I'm not taking away. I'm not taking away from that. I got you on that one. You said baiting is magnanimous. I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I mean, it's just a thing where it happens, and you try to understand where folks are coming from. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. There's tensions out there, and people use it as political strategy. Oh, mono. I'm thinking of magnanimous. Well, I'm thinking about sorry about my dyslexia. Sorry, mono. Sorry about that, sir. Sorry about that. Well, I don't know why I'm thinking about mono. I don't know. I'm thinking about mono. Mono magnanimous. Sorry about that, sir. Sorry. I have done you. Yeah, I have done you a disservice. Sorry about this. I'm thinking about magnanimous, but it's mono nanimous. Yes, as in one. I stand corrected. Thank you for that. It is still late night. I'm reading all different things and whatnot. Forgive me for that. It's a touchy subject to talk about. When it comes to race baiting. I should have said not related to one group. No. It's no. I got you. It's late. It's late night. But it's still something, like I said. It isn't related to one group. And the name of this chat was gonna be like, is race baiting just a black thing, or is it something is it something where like I said, it's spread all around. It's a misconception, and also too by the media. The media does put something out there, as far as how they, pit one side against the other. Some people sell papers because of it, and like I said, political campaigns thrive off of it, as opposed to, like, you may have a politician out there that says, let's keep it pro-black, or other folks saying, let's take the country back, or let's make America great again, or, country first. There's a lot of innuendos. There's a lot of, like, slick side language that people use, to give hints and signals that, we got to keep the race pure, or, it has to be about us, or, you're trying to get the other side to have a reaction, towards, what you're saying and what you're doing and stuff like that. There's a lot of things that go into this, I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there that happens as far as, people, and what they particularly go for, as it pertains to this. There's a lot of people, who don't mind the race baiting. There's a lot of people, not a lot of people, but there's certain segments. I'm saying a lot of people. There's certain segments of society, where it's okay, for folks to, still just, be caught up in racial politics and racial divisions and stuff like that. Maybe it's not as bad as it was once upon a time, but it still exists. It's still out there. It's still in certain parts of the South. Surprisingly, even certain parts of, the East, wherever you may find it, I just ignore it. Yeah, I mean, just ignoring it is one way, but when you see it in the media, when you come from a different area and you understand the effects of it, it's a different thing, Art. So, it's kind of crazy, I don't know. It's just weird. It's a weird time for it. It's like things that you thought wouldn't be acceptable now, are kind of like the norm. When you look at the president, when you look at some of the things that he was able to get away with, you would say at some point, it's like in 2018, it's crazy, but it shows you, and not to quote Hillary Clinton, but to quote her on her concession speech, I think it was in 2016 when she lost. She said in her concession speech, which was, rings true even now to today. She said, America is more divided than I thought. And you would think, maybe living in a time, in a society that we live in now, that, maybe things would be more open-minded and people would, be able to see past, I guess, the politics of race and stuff like that, So it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. And I'm reading something where it was talking about, it's something from Splinter, it's, June 23rd, 2015. It's an article from Splinter.com. It says this week, as the shooting of 9 black churchgoers in South Carolina sparked a nationwide discussion of racism in America. Ian Turner at the conservative news site published a activist, they call it the Black Lives Matter. I don't want to read all that, but it was reminding me of something that happened. I remember the black churchgoers that were killed out there in South Carolina, and how that it's a classic misuse of the term race baiting as a term used against those who dare speak candidly about racism in America. Well, yeah, that's probably a bad example. I'm not even gonna read that article. I got so many different things out there that I can talk about. I guess I'm trying to just come from my point of view, my perspective, because I could go reading articles and quoting people and stuff like that. You do see how, race is used against, different folks, in society, as far as trying to get people to be against each other, as opposed to, the neighborhoods that people live in and who you're allowed to date or who you vote for. People are vilified maybe because you're a Trump supporter or something like that. So you may say, all people that are Trump supporters are racist, or all people that are Hillary supporters, are too liberal, and, against, well, I guess women's reproductive rights or something like that. Or no, well, probably too much for women's reproductive rights. I'm all over the place. Forgive me. Don't judge me. But what I'm basically trying to say is that there's a lot of divisions that happen because of, I guess the ignorance that's allowed to exist in people's, in people's hearts and people's minds as it pertains to the color of people's skins, as it pertains to, how people, I guess, see each other in a racial scope and whatnot. And you'd be surprised because you think nowadays that, because of, so many different ways of seeing each other, so many things that's accepted, so many things that are out there, different mind states and ways of going, that this wouldn't be something that's so perpetuated. And the media plays a part in it, as far as, with Trump and, all the things that he said and the whole build a wall and the whole Muslim ban and, just different things that's going on and whatnot. So it's kind of crazy because, at the end of the day, you say to yourself, does it have to be this way? Does it have to go down like this? Can we just like stop and see eye to eye, with each other for a minute? And we can, but there's people who stand to make money off of this division. There's people who sell newspapers, who sell subscriptions to different magazines and different newspapers online. There are people that have, 24-hour news coverage, so the media can, definitely, benefit off of people having racial tensions and stuff like that. People having, different rallies and protests and, there's a police shooting or something like that. And the sad part about it is when people actually take, shootings and killings and, different things that happen, and they use it as a way to, turn people against each other. The puppet masters don't ever want to see the unity of the masses. That can definitely be said. It's something that's definitely probably true. Lonely Prepper. I think back to Martin Luther King. A lot of people don't realize Martin Luther King was killed because Martin Luther King was trying to unite all people. It wasn't just about, the black, the black or the brown. It was about everybody, the rich, the poor, the Jew, the Gentile. Everybody. If you even look back, there was even, gay people marching out there with them. They do a little research on that. They didn't highlight it, but there was people out there from all different walks of life that were trying to come together. And that's something that, the folks don't want. So you keep folks divided, you keep people against each other, you make it seem like it's more, difficult out there than it really is. It's kind of scary though, because there's so much you can gain from, standing together and understanding each other and definitely, looking at people's differences. Yes, united we stand and divided we fall with internal conflict. As long as half the passengers look left and the other half looks right, nobody sees the waterfall we're headed for. Yeah, this is true, Bumblebee Junction, but there are people who stand to profit in the midst of this. If you look at the people who stand to profit and the folks that are perpetuating this thing, it's crazy. It's almost like they say there's the whole divide and conquer thing. As far as things go, pointing out different differences and whatnot. Why should you have people together? So that's just really what that is. It's kind of crazy. This is it's an interesting thing for me to talk about. I try not to, really get into it. When I see it, I try to ignore it as well. But, you do have it out in the media and things get perpetuated and pushed out there and stuff gets, pushed on to the kids and the kids, get into it, like the younger generations and stuff like that. And it's kind of sad because at the end of the day, you say it could be so much more. You don't have to be caught up in it. You could try to be, different. And it's sad that, some kids, get taught this stuff and, it gets passed on. And then, people get brazen and stuff like that, especially when we live in a society where folks think they could do and say whatever they want, maybe because they come from a certain racial background or they have a certain political ideology. They may feel like it's okay to be negative towards folks. They may feel like it's okay to slap them up in a public pool or, say racial slurs and be insensitive because this is something that's being perpetuated in the media and it may sell papers and it may get hits online and it may, get people to stir up things and cause controversies. And that's when I look at it and I say, definitely it's even more divisive. It's even more destructive because this is something that can be put out online and people can get as nasty and as vile and as freaky or as ignorant as they want to. And it's sad, and this is something that destroys and hurts a society, a generation, a people, a country. It's just, you want to be a free society. You want to have free thinkers. You want to be able to come together and love and experience each other for our differences, for our uniqueness and try to find common ground, as far as who we are as people. It should be a situation where we could look past color, but some people use it still as a tool, as a political strategy, as a way to, tear folks down, keep folks divided, and keep certain segments of the society still going at each other's throats, because you still hear stuff about, a supposed race war. We don't need no damn race war, but, that's what people keep talking about from time to time. You hear it out there. Let me assure you that the freedom of speech does not protect a smart life. It's a freedom of choice if you're willing to pay the consent, pay the consequences, and have on-hand bail money. Well, that's one way of looking at it, Bumblebee, but, it shouldn't even have to come to that point. It should be a point where, we should be a civil society. We should, with all this technology, with all this lines of communications and things that we have going on, we should be able to come together and see each other as human beings. It shouldn't be a situation where you have to worry about issues with the police, issues with, I guess racist folks or, narrow-minded politicians or, I don't know, just it's negativity out there that's being allowed to exist because, some people, they want it. If race baiting and stuff like that is happening, somebody out there wants it. Somebody wants to consume it. These things don't exist in society if nobody wants to consume it, if nobody wants to be a part of it, these things could die. This wouldn't even be a conversation. Even though I don't have all the facts and the figures and all the quotes and everything like that, this shouldn't even be a conversation because it shouldn't be something that's out there. But we do live in an imperfect world. And living in an imperfect world, these things happen, to where you find yourself, sometimes embroiled or online scrolling through a timeline and see things that, are seemingly racially motivated, but at the same time disingenuous, done just to keep people separated, just to keep people at odds at each other's throats. When understanding that, a lot of times we may eat the same food, breathe the same air, we live on the same planet. None of us are going anywhere, regardless of how you feel about a race of people, or regardless of how you feel about a nationality or group of people, regardless of whether folks come into the country legally or illegally. Not to say that I'm, for, illegal immigration. I'm not for illegal immigration, but at the same time, people take that and use that as an excuse to be, negative or, beat down somebody, who's, of a different culture, of a different race. People judge Mexicans and stuff like that and may, look at them in a certain way and talk about building a wall and doing all this other crazy stuff, when there's a tattered history of the United States itself. I don't think everyone has to be equal in every aspect, but that's just me. I'd rather celebrate our differences, etc. Diversity versus strengths through diversity. Yeah. Well, I mean, I definitely agree with you on that Bumblebee Junction. We should be able to accelerate. We should be able to celebrate each other's differences. It shouldn't be a situation where we're constantly, looking to go at each other, because of differences and, crimes that may seem racially motivated on the surface, but when they're just a design for us to, really, go at each other's throats and stuff like that. Different things that are perpetuated through society through the media and stuff like that, stuff that you see online. Because I guarantee you, if you go online right now, if you got off this live stream and you just Googled race baiting or racially motivated and insensitive crimes, you would find maybe 10, 20 pages, even more. You would maybe find, 100 different stories if you just go back for the next 5 years, next 10 years, even the next, even the last 5-6 months or whatever the case may be. You would find so many stories. You'll find so many instances, where there was rallies or protests on both sides, of people race baiting or people going at each other instead of having real civil conversations and trying to understand each other, trying to see where folks are coming from. But sometimes people get wrapped up in emotions. They get wrapped up in how they feel about things. They get wrapped up in, what they're scared of and afraid of. A lot of times people may fear what they don't understand from another group, another race of people. And they may say, these people are coming in to take our jobs, or these people are taking our benefits, or this person, is not as smart as we think they should be, or, they're too violent, or how can they be this way, or they're too ghetto, or they're too raunchy, or they're dirty, or this, this, that, and the third. And there's a lot of prejudices and things that happen. And these are things that actually people have against each other. But what happens is, it's like what Lonely Prepper was talking about. There's people pulling the strings and puppeteers and folks behind the scenes that are manipulating these situations and like putting stuff out there that's racially motivated and uses propaganda to get people to go against each other. Just stirring stuff up. Sometimes it could be a racial slur, or sometimes it could be something that happens. And the media is guilty of this too. It's like when something happens, between a black and a white person, all of a sudden you look up and, it's so-and-so news organization or so-and-so website, that's making sure it's posted all over Facebook and it's posted all over Twitter. And then there was the one side of the person that said they're going to kill everybody, and it's the other side and whatnot. Thank you, Lynn. Appreciate you for being here. So it's kind of crazy because, like I said, it's a situation where we as people need to see each other, for the content of our character, not the color of our skin, and to realize when something is being used against us, as seeming like if I have an issue with a white man, if I have an issue with a white man, and it's just an argument with that white person, another human being, another American citizen, we could have just had an argument. It could have just been a dispute. Maybe I cut him off. Maybe he gave me the finger. Screw you, blah, blah, blah. But from somebody on the outside looking in, that wants to stir up some trouble, all they say is a black man and it's a white guy, and he called him the N-word, and he called him a crackerback, and and then all of a sudden now it's a racially charged situation that probably wasn't, because somebody threw some innuendos or some racial slurs out there and said that somebody had a problem with the guy because he was black, or he had a problem because he was white, or he was privileged and whatnot. And it's disingenuous, because sometimes people have problems with each other just because they have problems with each other. Sometimes people don't get along with each other just because they don't get along with each other. I may not like you because of your personality, but now when you put the context of race in it, now it becomes a situation where people are constantly being baited, and it becomes a conversation. Oh my God, is it about slavery? Is it about white privilege and gentrification, and just the schools? And I'm not saying that stuff doesn't exist. I'm not saying racism and gentrification and ignorance is not out there. But sometimes it's just ingenuous, because when you have people of two different races having disputes and problems and situations, sometimes it had nothing to do with race. Sometimes I really just didn't like the way you were approaching me. Sometimes you may really not have liked the way that I approached you as a human being. But what happens with the context of race baiting, everything becomes about the color of your skin as opposed to the content of your character. Maybe your character is questionable. Maybe you're coming from a place and a space where you're just not a good person. But when it comes to, black versus brown, or, brown versus, white, or whatever the case may be, I like other baiting, not race baiting. Well, yeah, I mean, I get that. I get that, Lynn. I'm not even gonna go there with you, but I know what beta you're talking about, but we gotta leave that alone. We gotta leave that alone. I mean, but that was funny. I caught that immediately. That's something wrong with me. But anyway, it's kind of what it is, and I hate to say it, like, it's just that on the other hand, part of the reason I'm here now is because you're black, and because you live in an urban environment, because that is disrespectful that interests me. Well, that may be true. I have an urban perspective, and I'm black and stuff like that. But I'm not trying to bait you based off of a racial perspective to be here. I mean, and I would just, yeah, I bet fishing, Lynn. Yeah, I bet you were talking about fishing. Yeah, that's the bait we were talking about. So yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna go out there and bait for some fish too. I'm a real one in. I'm a real one in. And reel it back in and get a fish. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. I bet I do. That's funny. Ooh, oh my God. Yeah, let me get back focused. Yeah. Anyway, as I was interrupted, nah, Lynn is good. She's good. She's just, yeah, that was funny. Definitely. But back to what you were saying, Bumblebee Junction. Yeah. That was funny. It's good to have a nice little laugh. Yeah. Anyway, I was distracted. Yeah. Back to what you were saying though, Bumblebee. Yeah. It's a situation where you're right. You want to hear my perspective coming from an urban situation. But that's just understanding each other's differences. Just like understanding where you come from, a different part of the country, and you're older than me and whatnot, and you have more wisdom and perspective from your life. So I want to hear about that, just like everybody here in the chat. Everybody has a different perspective or point of view. Even if you came from an urban area like myself, I would still want to hear, what you're saying. Maybe you're from a different part of the city or something like that. But I hate when they just make the conflicts. No, don't worry about that, Lynn. Don't worry about that. It was funny. It was definitely funny. The problem I have, definitely with race baiting, is that a regular dispute is a regular dispute when it's between two white people, two black folks. So it definitely is, depending on the shade, because if one is a shade too light, then now you get into whole colorism debate, and that becomes an issue in itself. But if you say two Hispanic people, two Asian people, a dispute is a dispute. But now if you take the Asian and the black, or you take the Asian and the Hispanic, or you take the white and anybody else, all of a sudden it's this issue where race automatically becomes rooted into it. Racism is rooted in fear, and fear is rooted in the unknown. So information is the best weapon we have against racism. So here I sit. Well, That's an important part and a great point that you made up. I mean, that you made up, that you brought up. Let's say you made up the point, but that's, I mean, definitely, people fear what they don't understand, and I think sometimes people manipulate that. There are folks on the outside looking in that manipulate that and see an opportunity to keep people in the dark, to keep people separated, to keep people from coming together and really doing some beautiful things. I mean, it's important to converse with people from different backgrounds, different ideologies, different religions, different thoughts, different races and stuff like that. It gives you a more open perspective. It lets you see that there's more going on in the world than, just maybe the confines of your neighborhood, the confines of your view. And the thing I hate about race baiting is that it takes, you know, something that could be just a regular dispute, something that's just a regular problem, and it magnifies it because it was somebody from a different, racial background. It could be a situation where a black man shoots a black man, that's just a black on black crime. But if a white man shoots a black man, now it's racially motivated, and vice versa. If a black man shoots a white man, now it's racially motivated, and that's when you get into race baiting. In a nutshell, I can have an argument with you, whoever you are, be it you, white, be it you Asian, be it you Hispanic. That can automatically turn into a race bait situation. I could be at work talking to somebody, and people will say, you're treating me this way because I'm white. Or it could be me as a white man, and I'm not saying I'm a white man, but it could be me, let's say if I was a white man, talking to somebody who's black. Oh, you're doing this to me because I'm black. Or even I've heard people say to me, you're treating me this way because I'm Hispanic. And it could be, I just had a disagreement with you, or I don't agree with what you're doing. And it becomes disingenuous because now people go through to the go-to thing being culture, being racism. And I'm not saying that there aren't people out there who don't do things that are racially motivated, but it becomes disingenuous when everything that a person does and says that's against you has to be racially motivated. There are people who genuinely don't like each other because of their personality. And it just so happens that those people may be white and one may be black. This person could be gay, that person could be straight, that person could be religious, that person could be, atheist. Sometimes you just don't agree from an ideological standpoint. Sometimes you just don't care about a person's ways, their personalities. Sometimes it is connected to how a person looks, but it doesn't have to be their race. You may not like how somebody looks, but it has nothing to do with racial motivation. You just don't like how that person's dressed. You may not like their hygiene. You may not care about who they are from a character standpoint. But the problem with that comes in now, if you're a boss, let's say you're a boss and you're a white person and you have a problem with a black worker and you don't like the way that they carry themselves, it can definitely turn into a racially motivated situation. Let me see this. What's going on, Egyptian Gamer Geek? Thank you for coming through. Lynn Denton says, do you think people that bring up the racism in an argument might fall on the accuser like they have a deeper passion about races? Wait, let me try to put that in sentence. Do you think people that bring up the racism in an argument might fall on the accuser like they have a deeper passion about races? Maybe, I'm doing gaming videos and going to shop now. Nothing wrong with that, Egyptian Gamer Geek. Thank you for coming by. I could see something like that happening, Lynn. I mean, I could see somebody saying, they have a certain passion about it, and they may fall on it, and it may be something that's really deep with them. Especially if somebody's coming from the South and their family dealt with racism. Like, I'll say somebody who's like definitely dealt with racism. It is a different conversation, and you do have wonder. You have a certain wonderment, a certain question in your mind. What was the motivation for that person and how they dealt with you? Raised bombers, I just wait for someone to touch off their short fuse. Yeah, well, I mean, that's something that's true as well. Bumblebee Junction, there are people on both sides of the issues. There are those people who are afraid because they don't understand, they don't know. Then there's those people out there who have been victims of racism. So now, anytime they deal with somebody of an opposite race or a particular race, let's say I'm somebody who had problems with white people, or, they're white folks, that were racist to me all my life. Let's just say hypothetically. Okay, now, Egyptian Gamer Geek, thank you for coming by. I appreciate you. So let's say that's the case. I'm dealing with racism all my life. And then all of a sudden, I get older. It's been a while. It's been a couple of years. Okay, maybe I moved someplace where, race is not so prevalent. Maybe that's not so much of an issue. And then one day, I have an argument. I have this big knockdown, drag out argument. The lady cursing at me, I'm cursing back, and this just happens to be, somebody who's white or Caucasian, Anglo-Saxon. All of a sudden, I get triggered. I get triggered, and now, because this person is of, that racial background as people who have been racist to me all my life, I can be passionate, emboldened, triggered. I can be set off. I can have a flashback, and then all of a sudden, now I introduce race into the conversation. And here's why it becomes hard. It becomes hard because as somebody who is on the other side, right? Let's say you're Caucasian and somebody who's black on the other side. It is hard to prove that you weren't racially motivated by the conversation, by the altercation. It is hard to prove because no matter what you say, that person is going to believe that what you were doing was racially motivated. So now this person is coming at you with something that's hard to prove, and it could be disingenuous because that's just how they felt. So now you're in a situation where you may have had a disagreement, an argument with somebody, and you're basically just arguing against their feelings. And I don't know if anybody has ever tried to argue against somebody's feeling in a situation when it really wasn't about that. A lot of times race baiting can be the ultimate misdirection. If I did something wrong, or if I'm stealing, or if I done committed a crime and then now the officer is arresting me, or if I'm on a block selling drugs or something, I'm not saying I do sell drugs, but let's say, hypothetically speaking, I was on a block selling some pharmaceuticals. What's going on? Game over. Thank you. And a police officer arrested me. And it just happened to be a white police officer, right? And he was rough with me, and he threw me on the floor and, threw me up against the car, or whatever the case may be. I can sue, or I can claim racial discrimination. Now, that could be something that's used just as race baiting because I'm out there committing a crime. I know I'm going to get in trouble. I know something's going to happen, but I'm trying to misdirect the situation because at the end of the day, I don't want to get caught out there. So what do? I put it out there that, this racist white cop called me the N-word and slapped me up and planted the drugs on me. And I'm trying to say and do anything that I can, in order to, evade that situation. Some cases it works, some cases it doesn't. That's just one example of it. It could be a situation also too, on the flip side. If I'm a Caucasian person, or if it's a Caucasian person, that now has somebody who's coming into their club or coming into their school or their gated community, they may not want that person there because that person may be a thug. Disclaimer, I have never arrested Mel. Yeah, well, you never arrested me, but I'm not saying I've never been arrested. I have been arrested before, and the arrest was actually something that was race was thrown in the midst of it. I guess I could tell you the story. It was it around 2000? This was June, was it May or June 2000? I forget when it was. I was on my roof. I think was it May of 2000? I know President Bill Clinton was still in office, and I think it was around Memorial Day or Labor Day, one of those days, right? We was up there, me and the homeboy, on the roof, of this building, looking out at the boats. All this stuff was happening. It was a big celebration. You're not supposed to be on the roof. Okay, it's criminal trespassing, even though I live in the building. Okay, on the roof. We're about to go down because you see the cops coming up, maybe they're making a big thing about it. So as the cops is coming up, we're surrounded on the roof like we are two criminals, I guess. And I say to one of the cops, man, what are you doing? What's the harassment about? Now, I'm a black guy talking to a Spanish cop, and I remember the cop's name, Officer Rodriguez. We ain't gonna go into badge numbers and all that stuff. But anyway, remember Officer Rodriguez, which always baffled me to this day. I'm saying, man, what are you doing? We're not doing that. We're just watching the boats. And he says to me, what's going on? What's going on, Cargo 619? And the officer says to me, what? You calling me the N-word? And arrest me, you know? And one of the mistakes I made is that I didn't have my ID on me, you know, and neither did my homeboy. But we lived on the 6th floor. So basically, I'm being marched past my house, you know, you know, right past my house because I don't have an ID and they don't care and they take me back to get arrested and whatnot, you know. And this whole thing happened because I guess you wanted to introduce race to try to see if I had a record, and that went into a whole other situation. I could have turned it into something. Yes, but that's just one of the instances where people use stuff like that. And let me see. There was a story of two sisters growing up, one half black and the other white. They didn't see colors of the skin, but the others told them that they couldn't be sisters due to their skin. That's the way people are raised. Sometimes that's the way people are raised. And yes, your name is not Rodriguez. You know, it's kind of crazy like that. It's kind of crazy like that. You know, to where people bring this stuff up and they use it, against you, as a convenience, as a way to keep people apart, as a way to, like to set people off and stuff like that. Sometimes, I hate to say it, it can be used by a cop to try to see, if they're gonna, rile you up and get an arrest. That's for the crooked cops or whatnot, to see how you're gonna react and respond, to certain situations. And don't you dare say it don't you dare say it to a cop. Don't you dare get crazy to a cop and say something racial to a cop. That's certain places, that's RIP, rest in peace. But we're not trying to go there. What I'm talking about, Cargo, tonight is just race baiting. How it happens, why it happens, some scenarios. I'm all over the place. I don't pretend to have all the answers, but it is a conversation, Cargo, that I'm having. I try not to get too heavy, but this is a heavy conversation. I do not have all the answers. I do not pretend to have all the answers. I'm just really a commentator on the subject because, like I said, I'm not doing a whole bunch of extensive research, so that's what it is. Yes, I'm glad you know the subject as well, Cargo. I mean, you can elaborate. Maybe there's some things that you want to add to it. But the story of the sisters, people, is people trying to tear them apart by their skin. Yes, I definitely agree with you on that, Lynn. Unfortunately, people have that, done. Do you stereotype white people until you get to know them? No, I do not. I do not stereotype white people until I get to know them. But unfortunately, there are people out there who do. There are folks out there who, have preconceived notions, just like, with black folks. There's people who stereotype me because, of how I look and the way that I am. I mean, people may have stereotypes of me because I'm in the projects and, I share an apartment with my mother, even though I pay half the rent, whatever. People will stereotype you for different things, And the funny thing is when people see you doing things outside of the stereotype, even though I live in the projects, I work in a Catholic church. So I live in a low income neighborhood and I work in one of the richest neighborhoods on the planet. I've collected and seen more money than you can imagine, for other folks. But people judge you. They have preconceived notions of you. Like I said, I've met popes, I met politicians, I met celebrities, all kind of stuff. But, see you in the street, they look at you, I'm a thug, or maybe I'll rob you, or maybe you're worried about me, or maybe you have different notions about me. So that's what it is. Will you stereotype me when I turn? No, I will not. I will not. You're not an old woman, You're a very attractive lady that's gonna probably have men, trying to come at you crazy, saying, Seth's gonna have to fight them off, there's gonna be a lot of thirsty men out there on Sunday, where's Len? You gotta give him a drink of water, Yeah, but I dealt with racism from people that don't realize that I actually have native blood. Got native blood when I was visiting my father in the Indian reservation, in the reserves, just because I don't look native at all. Well, I mean, I can see a little Indian in you, it's all good, but it's unfortunate and a shame that people do that, because maybe say you're not one of us. Creative Redundancy says, I treat people by their character, mind, and heart, not what I literally see. Certain words prior to perception. I know many people of different backgrounds. I see human, not a title given. You know, yes, that's I agree with Lonely what Lonely Prepper said on the Lynn. You know, you got to be careful. You might need a bodyguard. Sunday they're gonna come at you. Somebody may give you a date. You know, but that's just what it is. You know, definitely. If I was out there, I would, you know, definitely give you like a present or something. You know, take you to the movies or something. It's all good. But you know, happy birthday to you in advance. Yeah. Back to what I was saying though. Yeah, I agree with what Creative Redundancy is saying. You want to see people for the content of their character and stuff like that. I've never been a person to look at somebody based totally on their color of their skin and say that this person is an evil, you know, spawn of Satan or whatever the case may be, or this person is untrustworthy because of the color of their skin. Yeah, I should. You know, I'll get you a Netflix movie, send you a Netflix movie. A lot of whites would be surprised if they researched their family tree. Just saying, yes, I agree. So would a lot of black people, you know, but maybe not. Well, then I should be an old. Well, no, well, you don't. Neither one of you ladies look like you're 39. I could have swore you just, you know, turned 25 or something like that, you know. But you know, you definitely are two beautiful women that have a lot going on for you. So, you know, stay looking young. You know, I mean, I myself, they say I look like I'm 16 from my boyish grin, you know. But anyway, enough about me. You know, yeah, 21. Yeah, no, definitely no. You have a youthful appearance. You know, don't worry. It's like when I watch your live streams. It's like I'm watching the Fountain of Youth. You know, it's like you ever seen Benjamin Button? You know, you like the female Benjamin Button. You know, you're getting younger and younger every time I watch your live streams. You know, but that's what that is. You know. So kudos to you. Just back to 39, I wish. Lonely Prepper wants to be 39, you know, but it's all good. You got to make it work, man. You got to make it work. You know, don't worry, Lonely Prepper. I know they're chasing you down, man. So don't you start that. And I know they're knocking down and beating down your door, drop kicking their way in there trying to get at you, man. It's like, oh man, look at this sex symbol over here. Yeah, look at this man with that southern drawl, you know. Like I said, yeah, you saying nope. I know you're trying to downplay it, you know. I know why you took your picture off. You know, you took your picture off the icon. You didn't want them chasing you down, running you down. You know, I see them women out there, you know, trying to get that Lonely Prepper. It's like we want some of that, you know. Stop talking crazy, but it's all good. It's all good. Everybody's beautiful and unique, and special in their own way, and I mean that, not just saying that to make you feel good. I mean, you have something that's special about you. I work with two girls, one black and one other Korean, Hispanic. The black girl did race bait. Well, unfortunately, it happens, you know. Thank you, Cargo 619. I'm not ashamed to say I fight with the racism I was raised with and I'm surrounded by every day. It takes time and effort. Yes, it does. It's weird because the other girl wasn't even white. Well, this is the thing, Lynn. Sometimes people get conditioned to react a certain way towards people of a different race because that's something in society that's taught. That's something in people's households that they were raised with. You know, some people were raised in their households not to trust, you know, white folk or watch your back, you know, because, you know, the white man gonna do this to you or that one, or, you know, they stealing all the men, or, you know, they regentrifying the neighborhood, or they're culturally appropriating things, you know. So, you know, there is that. It happens. But what people don't do is they don't take the time to say, okay, this person is white. This person is different from that other person. I may have had bad experiences with somebody who was white when I was a child, or when I was at that company, or when I was in this relationship, you know, and people don't take the two as separated. And then maybe they may hear stories of how their grandfathers or their great grandfathers or their grandmothers, their aunts, their uncles, you know, great aunts and uncles may have dealt with racism and may have dealt with stuff. Yeah, no, definitely, Cargo. I mean, so sometimes it's a generational thing. It's a generational curse passed down through different families. That's why I asked the stereotype question. Well, me, I'm somebody, this is what I'll say to you, Bumblebee Junction. This is why you know the answer to the question is true. If you look at my live streams, I can make this a black live stream. I can make this about the hood, the brothers, the sisters, you know, my Negroes, you know, all that stuff. I could get real hood, real street. I could talk about the latest happenings in the hood and who's selling drugs and what's the latest Drake album and the Pusha T beef. And like I said, I could make this very Afrocentric, and there's some people who probably want me to, but I try to speak to all the people. Like Christian told you more of me if than it actually you. Well, this is true too, but also too, we learn from each other. I was raised like a person for who they are, not by their culture or their skin color. Well, and that's true. Me, I'm not trying to make it about me, but the reason I say this to you is because you look at about the people that show up to my live stream. I talk to a diverse amount of people. There are people out there who may say I'm an Uncle Tom or I'm Coonin or whatever the case may be. I mean, I'll tell you a story. Something that happened one night. I don't know what was on my mind. I saw a man who was with his girlfriend. I think this was last year around Valentine's Day or something like that. I don't know when it was. It was a white couple, two Caucasian people, man and a woman. He had his flowers, and the guy got into an altercation with a black man, young black man. So, they fought it out for a little bit. Then we kind of pulled them apart. I jumped in and pulled them apart. Somebody else I knew pulled them apart. And I said, man, you're making it hot around here. We don't need this. This is negative, So the guy looked at me and says, oh, you protecting the white man? You're Uncle Tom now. And when he said that, I had to literally pull back my fist. I said, because I'm an Uncle Tom because I want to try to stop you from fighting with this man who's with his girlfriend, who's just trying to go wrong as day. And I forgot why they got into the altercation or what actually happened, and I had to, leave it alone because some of my homies came through and it wasn't about to go down no kind of way anyway. And the guy wasn't from around the way, but the point is I try to see people just for who they are, the content of the character, not just the color of their skin. If something is wrong, it's wrong. Let me go back into these comments because I don't want to just get into too much of a monologue. Just like things happen in history doesn't mean we have to repeat. We can go beyond those prior perceptions and build a future as a whole. Yeah, this is true creative redundancy, but the reality is some people don't want to let the past go. And the funny thing about it is you have people, from the future, from this time. Yeah, they still use that. They still use that lonely prepper. I was called that last year, because I was trying to stop a man from getting into a more serious altercation than what it could have gotten. And we didn't need the cops around there because, but it was real. It's real. But see, the thing about it is what the guy from around the way doesn't understand is that if we would have let him fight and let the situation get violent, what happens a lot of times is now you have this black man who attacks this white man and he does something horrific to this white man. That black man is going to run and flee the scene. I'm somebody that comes back and forth. So who's the cop going to look at? The cop's going to look at me or anybody else like me that's in that area, that may have fit the description, while the person that actually did the crime is not there. So race does still play a part in it, but now I'm being profiled or I'm being looked at, even if it's not straight up, while you done did the crime and you just keeping it moving. So that was that. You got between, well, it wasn't that big of a deal for me. It was just that I didn't want the situation to go, too deep into a situation, but definitely race is a thing that comes in. It's not like a white and a black man could just fight and that be it. And what I'm saying, is true. I don't care what country you're from. It could even be in Canada. Cargo can corroborate this. If a black man and a white man fight anywhere in the world, right, at this moment, at some point in time, race is going to be thrown into the mix. And it's sad, but it's true. I like to say life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it, because we all have choices. We might not always have a choice on what happens to us, but we do have a choice on how we react. I definitely agree that. I tell my mother that many times. It's not always about what people do to you, but how you react. Curious, have you read Uncle Tom's Cabin? Not all the way through, but I've seen different parts of it and whatnot. But I definitely I definitely know that there's connotations of that. So, I had to sit down and read the whole thing. I've read like little excerpts and parts and stuff like that. But race is so prevalent because sometimes it's an easy way to divide people. It's an easy way to shame folks and make people feel guilty. It's an easy way to, belittle folks or look down on them. It's an easy way to make people, I guess, feel, like a certain type of guilt. Like, like if I'm a black person and I want you to feel your white guilt, I'm going to point out the advantages that you have as a white person. And I'm going to talk about your educational background. I'm going to talk about where you live. I'm going to talk about, how you don't get racially profiled like me. And these things could be true, but it could be a situation where you're somebody who doesn't subscribe to racism and bigotry and prejudice and hatred in your heart. But it's something that, as a person, I should look at you and see the content of your character. But sometimes people can't get past the color of somebody's skin. And we would like to pretend like, we could just jump past it and say, hey, you know what? That doesn't matter. That's not an issue. And I don't feel no type of way. But there's some people, unfortunately, who are black who genuinely hate white people. And unfortunately, I had to distance myself from some of these folks because I don't get up and start my day hating somebody based upon the color of their skin. I remember something that happened a couple of years back, and I was ashamed that I saw this. I was getting on the bus to come home. I wonder if interracial couples use race in arguments. I'm looking back at OJ. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know, Lynn. I really don't know. I mean, it's not something I try to bring up or, do or say, oh, well, look at you, because I'm a black man. That's why you didn't cook my favorite meal tonight. You know what I'm saying? You call me the N-word under your breath. You're like, nah, I ain't got time for it. That's too exhausting. But I remember one moment that I saw, and I felt a lot of shame when I was getting on the bus. And this was like 2 or 3 years back. I remember getting on the bus going home. I was in front of a church too, and black lady was getting on the bus, and it was a Mexican guy getting on the bus. And I didn't think nothing of it, but I didn't stop. I was, it's a regular thing, Spanish and black people in my neighborhood getting on the bus in front of a Catholic church, going home. That's where the bus stop is at. The lady stops and says, oh, you Mexicans are out there taking all our jobs. And I paused and I said, as a black person in America with all the stuff that folks have been through, I was just taken aback by the fact that another black person was saying something against Mexicans. Like I was at a loss for words. I was stunned. I was stunned. I was like, what? You have a problem? like what? What? I didn't even know. I mean, yeah, it's not okay. It's not okay. But that just goes to show that as black people, we have our issues as well, and it's not said enough. It's not said enough. People feel that black folks can't be racist or prejudiced and stuff like that because, we went through slavery and stuff like that. And, that's a myth. That's a myth. That's a myth. I mean, black people can hate people based on the color of their skin. I mean, there's, on the West Coast, there's been many issues with black and Koreans and, black Asians, black and Asians, black and brown and stuff like that. It's just not as accentuated because they don't have the history that, the Anglo-Saxons may have with black folks, and it does go into, deep racial ties and stuff like that. Anyone can be racist. Yes, anyone can be racist, but it's not as popular to come out and say, especially here in America, that a black person can be racist. And then you got to be careful because now if you start saying a black person can be racist, people are looking at that as a form of race baiting or form of black shaming or, how dare you degrade the black man or the black woman for doing something that's wrong. But, if you say pro-white, that's a problem. But if you say pro-black, black power, it's all good. If I throw up the black fist, a fist is like a symbol for black, black power. If a white person gets up on the same stream, if I got out the chair and I let a white man sit in this chair and he threw up a fist and said white power, there would be people that would be outraged. They would say, hell no, you don't let that happen. How dare you let that happen on your stream? Shut them down. so it is hypocrisies that exist, you know. But I digress from that situation. Somebody may see this years from now and say, how dare that man speak that way? But this is my channel. I had to set about educating myself, raising a half black daughter and a half Hispanic son. They're adults now, but I'm still learning and still trying anyway. Listen, it's a process, Bumblebee Junction. This is so similar to natives up here, and I have seen both sides of it again and on the reserve. And I get what you're saying. Well, it is that Cargo. I mean, I can't look at the context of race and say that only a white person can race bait. You know, a black person can't. You know, or only, it's a black and white issue, and it's not things where Hispanics could race bait against Asians or whites and stuff like that. It's the content, the context of it all and how people have these divisions and stuff like that. People genuinely, have issues with people because of the color of their skin. It could be people within the same race, or the same culture, like if you look at Cubans, you have lighter skinned Cubans against darker skinned Cubans, or people from, Hispanic countries. Hate bait and done furiously with with either hand. Yeah, we talked about baiting, different types of baiting in here. I believe that's a lid. I believe that's a lid. You just brought up a flashback or something like that, what she said. But yeah, there's different type of baiting. I have natives who don't accept me because I look too white, and then I have native families who think I should be on the other side because they know my bloodline. Well, that's something that happens. I mean, definitely, it's sad that it goes that way. But you have folks who say, if you look a certain way, you shouldn't be a part of a certain culture. Like, if I had a child and that child was biracial and the child looked too white, there are people that feel some type of way because they'll say, hey, look, this child look a little too white. You might have to get a DNA test to find out if that's your child. And that's offensive all in itself. Even if I got a DNA test and you put that work in the bedroom, like who's daddy now? I don't have time for the insults. She said, Uncle, because no matter, she should matter. Okay, typos. I see the typos. Yeah, it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter, Cargo. But the reality is that the ignorances exist, and you try to fight and combat that and have an open mind and put the positive energy out there. Make your own language. Yeah, it's all good. You can make your own language. We're just having a conversation. I'm not trying to, win score any points. I'm not trying to be overly right. I'm not trying to win the live stream. There's no points for. I mean, you're not getting any points for being perfect and whatnot. I even had to find my way in this live stream. The beginning of the live stream, I was a little, if you can tell, I was struggling a little bit. I'm just trying to get my points together, make sure I say the right words and all that stuff. Yes. Love to you all too. I know you need sleep, Lynn. Thank you for being here as much as you can. I appreciate your energy, your jokes, your nature, all that stuff. Okay, daughter, all kinds of flack being mulatto with two white parents. Yeah, unfortunately, that happens. That happens. But the reality is that, folks have, white grandparents. They have one black and one white. I mean, it happens, unfortunately, but these are things that happen. What is the responsibility of a white-looking person who actually comes from mixed parents, especially when their offsprings could be either? Their responsibility is to themselves. Their responsibility is to highlight that no matter where they come from, the character is most important. Yeah, good night again to you, Lynn. Thank you for coming through. Appreciate you. The responsibility is I guess if to society, if anything, is to be a good person, to be somebody of a high moral standard, to show that regardless of who you are and where you come from, it shouldn't be about the color of your skin. You should be able to embrace both sides of you. I mean, look at, Was it the one that got married, the royal wedding? Was it that just got married recently? I forget her name. Markel, Duchess Markel. I forget her name. I don't want to mess up her name. I don't know if it's Prince Harry that got married or whatever recently. You know, look at his wife. You know, half white, half black. You know, and she's just embracing the role. You know, the world is changing. You know, people are moving on from the race baiting conversation, the prejudices that happen. I tell people, if you don't want to be left behind, you need to catch up. You need to start realizing that, there are all types of people from all types of walks of life. Yes, people are people. People are mixed with all different types of things. You don't believe me? Go to Ancestry.com or 23andMe. Get your blood work done. In 1,000 years, we'll all be star-bellied snitches. I don't know what that means, but yeah, in 1,000 years, who knows? Who knows what folks will look like? They'll maybe look more like Jesus. I don't know. But the whole thing is just that, the world is changing and, different attitudes and stuff like that, are existing in different ways. Anyone could dislike someone prior, perceived act or info, but everyone can see beyond that as well. The choice is up to you. And I piggyback off of that creative redundancy. It is a choice. A lot of times people choose to hate, they choose not to love. They choose to, go against somebody because of the color of their skin, as opposed to seeing them for the content of their character. Old Cat in the Hat reference, there was Sneetches, there was no stars and those stars upon hat. Oh, okay, you going Dr. Seuss on me right now. This goes to show how long since I read that. I need to do a video reading Cat in the Hat. I got a Cat in the Hat book around here. If you don't have a Cat in the Hat book somewhere in your house, you're doing yourself a disservice. I got to find a Cat in the Hat book or some type of Dr. Seuss book. Read to the children. Read to the children, But thank you for that. I appreciate that. I'll give you a Dr. Seuss quote that's related to this conversation. Nobody can be more you than you. This much is true. I said it backwards, part of it, but this much is true. Nobody can be more you than you. Look it up, Dr. Seuss. I don't have Dr. Seuss books because my youngest is afraid of those characters. Well, that makes sense. Still, I mean, you can still read the story, without showing them the book, Sam I Am is a classic. Sam I Am, I will not eat green eggs and ham. Sam I Am. I raised 4 kids and multiple grands. The Cat in the Hat has a dinner plate here. That's what's up. I support Well for his character's message and spirit. Always will. Yeah, that's what's up. And I do the same to you as well, creative redundancy. I mean, that's what it should be. But unfortunately, we do live in a time, an era of society where people do stereotype and judge folks just based upon how they look. Unfortunately, I've had people in my life personally who have done such thing. That's why probably I don't hang around them as much. They get the calls a lot less because my thing is I don't want that to be influenced to me. What happens if I have, a mixed child? What happens if I have, a wife that's white or Asian, or Hispanic? There are people who have told me, that I'm not supposed to date outside of my race, or, how dare you try? Didn't those books so read the word book and encyclopedias? What? Oh, okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, didn't have those books so read, world encyclopedias. Well, nothing wrong with reading world encyclopedias. You do what you got to do, man. You make it happen. Your wealth of knowledge. Yeah, the women are impressed by the size of your brain, but we'll leave it at that. It's a lot of negativity that exists out there, and it's important to just keep an open mind. Yeah, I know you probably caught that, Cargo. I don't know if anybody caught that, but it's all good, I mean, you try to do as best as you can. You can't, no comment. Funny. I meant it in the most family-friendly type of way, I didn't mean I didn't mean anything crazy by it, but I realized, that's just what it is. It's late night, it's 2 a.m. in the morning. I was raised by a father that would not answer questions until you tried to look it up for yourself. I think he wanted his money back out of those encyclopedias. That's probably what it is. I got a big dictionary down here, and I'm not making this up. Let me show you. I still believe in having big things around. I'll show you. This is not just a prop. This dictionary cost me $129. I still believe that Google cannot replace an actual dictionary. You know, this is a real dictionary. Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, I encourage you, have your dictionary till it rips. You know, this is a real dictionary with real words, with real things in here. You know, have one of those for you. I keep it under my table. So that's just what that is. It's good to educate yourself. And also, you can use it as a weapon if somebody comes in, you creep up behind them, bow, you know, I'm doing it in my house, you know. But that's just what that is. Bite your tongue, girl, don't say what you're thinking. Yeah, I know. Believe me, I say things, you know, but it's all good, you know. I also know Shakespeare's work intimately. There's nothing wrong with Shakespeare's work. I have some of his plays in my actual bedroom, you know, Hamlet, what is it, Hamlet, Romeo and Juliet. I don't know if I have Merchants of Venice, but I have No Fear Shakespeare. So you read the translation and read the original works, all that side by side. So yeah, it's all good. Look up Prappism. If I look up Prappism, I'm gonna look it up on this right now because that's gonna take me a whole lot of time. Yeah, and I'm glad I keeping you on your toes, Cargo, because you know. Oh my God, cheetah. Oh my God. Okay. Yeah. Let me look up this word just in case. I used to love looking up words in the dictionary. You know, now it's easy on Google. You could cheat. I just had to get some water because my throat is parched. It's dry. So yeah, I'm here. Forgive me. Oh man, technology. Come on, man. You can't just, yeah, man. This thing freezing up on me. Sorry about that. My thing freezing up on me. I don't want to hear about Trump and Queen Elizabeth. Come on, man. Shout out to Queen Elizabeth though. I would like to meet her one day. You know. I'm going to your definition. Sorry about that. I'm going to your definition. Yeah, he's cheating. Yeah, I am cheating. I have to cheat because that's gonna take a long time. That's gonna take a long time. I am cheating. I have to admit, I'm cheating for the benefit of time. You know. Okay, Prappism. Make sure. Okay, let me go to the word. Forgive me.
Priapism.
Priapism. Oh, you heard that?
Priapism.
Okay. Uh, Persistent and painful erection of the. Woo. Okay, so I'll let you see this if you could see this. Wow. Priapism. Yeah. Oh, wow. That's naughty. I'll let you look up what priapism is. It's a painful, is a persistent and painful erection of the you know what. Wow. It is origins in Greek, priapos, Greek, priaprison, Greek, priapism, late Latin, English, priapus, priapism. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, you got to look it up too. I'm not making this up. You know, if you can see it, I'm trying to see it. If it don't, let me see. If it would. Yeah. You can see it here. You can see it here. I think I move it in closer for you, for those folks that can see it or you can't see it. I don't know, but that's what it is. It's backwards. Yeah, it's backwards. You know, that's well, what you were saying was straightforward. Let's say it like that. It's backwards, but it was straightforward the way you were saying it. So, you know, it's all good. You know, that's funny. That's funny. You know, I can get you on wordplay. I haven't pulled out my thesauruses, you know, in a long while, but I have some synonyms for that word. You know, right offhand. No pun intended. You know, that was funny. That was cute. Oh my God, you know, the things that happen late night, you know, he means we are seeing mirror image. Yeah. First out, some cinnamons. Yeah, so that's funny. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. Synonyms. 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 You know what I'm saying? Antonyms and synonyms. Synonyms are funny. Funny, 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 funny. Not funnier than you in the word, but don't worry. You're going to start a whole, start a whole definition by definition. I got to find some words for you by definition. But that's the power of words. Words mean so many different things. Did you look it up yet, Cargo? Oh, I mean, hopefully you got the word. It's a late night Bumblebee special. Definitely. I enjoy sharing some time with you guys and girls. Get to know you more as real people. I must take off. Enjoy care of the weekend. Yes, creative redundancy. I'm about to take off myself too. It's been an awesome live stream. An hour and 15 minutes with you folks. Yes, they are powerful things. I want to insist that we have a good vocabularies. What's the longest word in the dictionary? What's the longest word in the dictionary? Somebody's told me this before. I don't remember it. Okay, I hope you just didn't see the same image I did. Yikes. Well, I don't know what image you just saw. I don't know what image you just saw, but I hope it wasn't nothing bad. Like I said, it's crazy. But yeah, it happens. Nah, I didn't see the image. I didn't see an image, but I just saw a definition. Yeah. Yeah, going into the wordplay a lot tonight. I hear you folks, and I'm definitely appreciative of that. So that's just what that is. But for the benefit of time, I will not hold you folks here. I definitely appreciate you for having this conversation with me, for hearing me out, for just bearing with me through this whole thing, this journey. It has to do with a lung disease. And then there was Sherry K. Sherry K, how long have you been here? When did you decide to reveal yourself? Let me see. Oh man, I feel super sorry for all mankind now. Well, no, there's no reason to feel sorry for mankind. It's just, you got to go work it out. That's all I have to say about that situation. Things you can learn in a live stream. Well, you can learn so much. I learned so much from y'all, and hopefully you got something from me. Yeah, you just work it out, Cargo. I mean, you got to find a willing participant and work that situation out. That's the best way I could say that. I mean, in some instances, people may hire some help. 1 minute hate baiting. Well, they're gonna call it some type of baiting after that situation. That's what it is. Yeah. So yeah. So that's all I can say about that. But thank you, Sherry K, for being here. Minute, second. We've been here for an hour and some odd minutes. It has been a live stream that has been all over the place, usually as they are. It started off very serious. When Lynn came through, Lynn Denton, she came through things, the mood changed and it was good. And we kept it serious going back and forth. Actually, too much of that can cause it. Interesting. Vocabulary baiting. That's what it is too. Well, if you get to that point, Bumblebee, you have to relieve the situation. That's the only thing I can say about that. You relieve the situation and do what you have to do. But on that note, I could tell that I'm sleepy and I'm getting sleepy. So I know if I'm getting sleepy, I know you folks are getting sleepy. Sorry you just got home from work. There's no need to be sorry, Sherry K. No need to be sorry. The fact that you were here for a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5. I was going to try to make this an hour and a half. I'm not sleepy, but it's all good. If you're not sleepy, then I can stay on until an hour and a half. Why not? Why not? Practice can only be revealed medically with a needle and letting blood out. Wow. I didn't know that. So literally, you still have to hire some help. You just have to get a doctor or acupuncturist or something like that. You gotta let the blood out, But I bet you would be all the rave at a swingers party. So, that's just another story in itself. Yeah. Nah, I'm not going after the images. I only want the definition. The images that are out there, I mean, nah, I'm good. I'm good. I'll take your word for it, Cargo. I'll take your word for it, with all these images floating around online. So there's no need for me to stain my pure mind, my pure ears with that. No, don't look, it's bad. Well, I imagine I imagine it's probably the same as blue balls. That's what some people call it. The nickname for it. But that's what it is. I can only imagine. But we've ruined Cargo nightmares. Nah, Cargo is a very, very strong individual. I imagine she's, I had to word this carefully. I imagine she's seen some things in the world, like I said. So, like I said, she's not afraid, no way, you can't rule me like that. I'm good. Yeah, that's good. That's what I to say. Okay. I would feel bad if she was ruined on a Mel Washington. I don't want her husband coming to look for me. What you got my wife on the late shift for? What are you doing? I'll come see you. But it's all good. Love and peace. Love and peace. Cargo just waiting on someone. I'm not even going there. But too many thoughts. Too many thoughts came to mind. That was funny. Yeah. But yeah, Bumblebee pulled it on us tonight. That's funny. Well, you got a new word. I bet you that'll stump them in the trivia. That'll stump them in your trivia, Cargo. You say, what is Pravism? Which Disney character has this issue? Oh my God. Yeah, that might cause some problems. I'd be like, oh, Cargo, how dare you? Oh my God. I'm like, see what you started, Bumblebee. See what you started. Oh my God. The things that we do late night and say, and Mom, if you're watching, I'm being corrupted. I would stop now. Now, who's going to forget that word now? I would still forget that word. Wow. Oh my God. That's funny. That's funny. Imagine if Goofy really did suffer from that. Oh my God. Oh my God. He said he can't get him a wife. But he had to have kids with somebody. He had the Goof Troop, you know what I'm saying? So Goofy had the Goof Troop. They never talk about his wife too much. And the kids is not adopted, so he probably Goof Troop something. It's like Goof Troop, whoop, 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 woo, woo, woo. Like I said, they had some goofy relations in the bedroom, The kid came out a little bit cooler, so some of those cool genes had to come from the mother. There's somebody out there, though. Got to be rough being a single dad out there, but that's what it is, That's what it is. I'm so confused that because he was in love with the cow, but his son doesn't look like a cow at all. Well, I'm going to leave that one alone because I'm not trying to get in trouble with the housewives of America. So I'm going to leave that one alone, Cargo. I see the metaphor in there. I get it. I get the metaphor, but yeah, that's funny. That's funny on so many levels. I used to watch Goof Troop. When I watched it, I was just like, where's the mother? Did she run away? And it is Christian's Adventures. The man formerly known as Christian Janicki. He still is Christian Janicki, but, Christian Janicki show. But right now it's Christian's Adventures. And, oh yes, he is on an adventure when he ventures into the live stream beyond space and time. A live stream beyond the fifth dimension. A live stream beyond comprehension. You have reached the late shift. Nah. But for real, though, thank you for coming by. I appreciate you. I appreciate you for being here. And right now, this is just the chill kickback session of part of the live stream. I pretty much said everything that I wanted to say. Nothing is up and nothing wants to be right now. So I remember I had at least to get one joke in. Yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good, Cargo. It's all good. Nothing wrong with that. You gotta, laughter is good for the soul, they say, or something like that. It makes you live longer. I don't know. Maybe somebody make me laugh. I feel good. It's good to see you though, Christian. I appreciate the 7 thumbs up and the 5 people in the chat. I'm glad that you folks were with me most of the time. We got some good watch time out of this, man. Thank you for being here for the late shift, with Mel, putting in that time, putting in that work. And for those people that would sleep at this time, you just missed out on a great conversation. But shout out to the replay gang, that will get there. I mean, anybody that gets to this point, you deserve a shout out. So if you get to this point in the chat, a minute and 24 seconds, almost 24 seconds, a minute and 24, a minute 24, no, a minute. Why I'm saying a minute, an hour, an hour and 24 minutes and 51 seconds. If you get to this point in the live stream, in the replay, you deserve a shout out. If you get to this point, timestamp. If you get to it, then I'll give you a shout out. I'll make a shout out video for you. Yeah, I said a minute 24, right? Forgive me. You get loopy in the midnight, in the midnight hour. You know what I'm saying? You just, I've been stroking to the east. I've been stroking to the west. Some people say I should be, with a nice fine thing in the bed somewhere. Maybe you do need some sleep. Well, I mean, I'm going to get some sleep in the next couple of minutes or so. I mean, it's all good. I mean, I could be here with you, I could talk to you. Cargo's not sleepy yet, but I'll be here for next maybe 4 minutes or so. And then Sherry K, if Sherry K was still there, I was trying to give Sherry K some time. So that's what it is. Don't stroke it to the, wow, that's funny, Cargo, it's funny. Nah, I don't want to have those issues. I don't want to have those issues because then, you got to get blood leaked out of there. And then there's people who are going to have jokes on you and stuff like that. Yeah. Don't worry. I can't unsee the comment, but that's what it is. That's what it is, it's all good. That was funny. Good joke. You're here. Okay, Sherry K. I'm glad you're still here. Is there a bumper sticker for that? I doubt there is, but living in the day and age that we live in, Lonely, you can probably get one made, and it would be funny, But you have to put the definition somewhere other. Don't feel bad, remember, I got Dark Matter to call himself a piss off garden omen, a German once. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Shout out to Dark Matter. Dark Matter's been out there making the rounds, Shout out to him for being who he is. And shout out to other folks in the community, the Granny Monsters of the world, the 805 Road Kings, the Cab Sevens, the Big Gazes, the Harry Fesslers of the world, the Tosh Times, if Tosh Time was here around or whatever. Shout out to all the people out there, the Lou Love Yous, the Lynn Dentons and whatnot. Yeah, this was actually a great stream, I mean, yeah, I'm glad that I was here with you folks. You made it what it is. Wow. Yeah, I don't think anybody's beating anything. I have talked to Rebel, Lonely. I have, in passing. Rebel is actually working, so I speak to him when I can. He's in a busy season right now, Lonely, but I'll definitely tell him that you asked about him. I'll definitely let him know what's up. But he's just busy right now. This is his busy season. So once things slows down, Rebel Stay Sovereign will be back. He'll be back around and whatnot, probably doing live streams. The person I'm looking for is Grim Reaper. Yeah, that's a sword fight I would have to step out of Cargo 619. That's when things just get a little too strange for me, I can't do that sword fight. Yeah, but I have heard from him, Lonely Prepper, and I'll definitely tell him, what's what with that. So I mean, shout out to Lonely State Prepper. Why am I calling this man Lonely State Prepper? Rebel State Sovereign. Yeah, you could do that. You could do that, Bumblebee. You could buy a stick figure, that would be definitely an interesting stick figure to have and whatnot, but shout out to Rebel State Sovereign. Shout out to Grim Reaper out there, wherever you may be. Yeah, no, I can't imagine, Cargo. I can't imagine, but you can imagine. I mean, I'm just, that's above my pay grade right there. That's beyond my sight. That's beyond my ability to see. I'm having a mental block right now. I'm having I can't visualize, what I'm saying? I just can't see past this live stream into that. I can't. I mean, I'm not judging, I'm not judging. We live in a different time. We live in a different space where, some folks may want to do that. Really surprised me with his trip to Europe. He said he was going out there though. He said he was going out there for a while. From as releasing I am more corrupt than not. No. Believe me. I know. I mean, you're respectful. You're respectful. Believe me. I know, Cargo. Everybody has their side to them. Everybody can't be as pure as myself. You know, but that's just what it is. That's just what it is. Yeah, nah. He was telling a couple of us knew about those trips that he was about to take and whatnot. He did say that. Yeah. It's hard being perfect. It's hard being perfect. Cargo 619. It's hard being humble. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard. But that's just what it is. No pun intended. I'm saying it's hard, and I'm gonna leave that alone. Considering the words that people throwing out there. But it is what it is. It is what it is. So yeah, just gotta let it down easy and whatnot. And yes, Sherry K, this is the live stream. Oh my God, I just looked up that word. Oh, you just looked up the word. Yes, yes. I mean, it is. It is what it is. It is what it is. You got to look up the word Christian. You got to look up the word. You'll find out what they're talking about. But it happens sometimes. It happens. These are the days of our lives. These are the things that happen. And on that note, I've hit the hour and 30-minute mark. And now I do have to go for the benefit of your time. Unless there's anything that you have to say. Anybody in the crowd, in the chat, is there anything that you want to express? I don't know. Yeah, Sherry K, that's just really what it was. That's just really what it was. That's what it is. That's how we live it. That's how it is transpiring on the live stream tonight. People get to this point of the live stream, they go like, what does this have to do with race baiting? Oh my God. Oh my God. I don't know, Loli from it. It's just funny. Yeah, Cargo 619 says oh my God. Oh my God. You gotta look up the word, Christian. You gotta look up the word. I want to apologize for introducing it to your lives. Nah, it's all good. It's all good. But yeah, Lonely, I'm gonna have to get up out of here. I'm gonna have to get out of here. I'm gonna let you folks go. I appreciate you for being here. Thank you for the watch time. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for just being who you are. It made for good entertainment. Yeah, that too. As always, spread love. Yes, Cargo is a great YouTuber. She definitely is. And I encourage people to check out Cargo 619, the most purest of us all. But as always, spread love is the Brooklyn way. And I'll see you next time. Thank you for tuning into the Late Shift with Mel Mel. There you go. Sounded very professional, right?